This year in Virginia, there's a big gubernatorial election to elect, obviously, their next governor. And, I'm sorry, it's governor. It's for governor. And the two candidates are both women. This is a big deal. Normally, you'd get a lot of press about the fact that for the first time in the history of Virginia, you're going to have a woman governor. The problem is the media isn't focusing on that much because, well, one of the women is a Republican and she's black. And, well, they just don't want to draw any attention to that. It's Abigail Spanberger versus Winsome Sears. Ms. Sears is actually the current lieutenant governor under Glenn Youngkin in Virginia. And, well, it's going to be a really expensive race. It's coming down to the wire. The polls are tightening. And so yesterday, in fact, on my radio program in Washington, D.C., Winsome Sears announced that she had accepted CNN's invitation for a debate in September. Finally, face-to-face, mano a mano, Abigail Spanberger will face off against Winsome Sears for a no-holds-barred debate. And Winsome Sears said, listen, the deck's going to get stacked against me. They've already tried to sandbag me, CNN has. I had one interview with them last month, and it was all about gotcha questions. I know that I'm going in, and it's going to be 4 against 1, but I don't care because I respect the voters of Virginia. I'm willing to put up with CNN and their media bias if it means that we can have a debate and the people of Virginia can see where we stand and then make a decision. That's what Winsome Sears said. Then Abigail Spanberger last night backed out of the entire thing. That's right. She's chicken. Here's how Fox News wrote it up. Virginia Democrat Abigail Spanberger declines CNN's invitation to debate Republican in gubernatorial race. Former Congresswoman wants Virginia-based outlets to host debates. GOP opponent Earl Sears accepts CNN's office. Joseph Wolfson with the write-up. Former Representative Abigail Spanberger declined CNN's invitation to hold a debate between herself and GOP rival Virginia Lieutenant Governor Winsome Sears for the Commonwealth's gubernatorial race. CNN had invited both candidates for a debate to be held in late September or early October. Only Earl Sears accepted the invitation. According to her campaign, Spanberger wants only local outlets to host debates rather than national ones like CNN, which is really interesting. You know, because I do my radio show in Washington, D.C., I cover Maryland and Virginia politics as well. And I got to tell you something. You go to Abigail Spanberger's website, you go look at whatever interviews that she has done or campaign appearances. 85% of her campaign is about Donald Trump. It's about Doge. It's about ICE. It's about abortion. She's running a national campaign on national issues. She's running against Donald Trump. So, but I don't want any national news outlets. I only want Virginia-based news outlets. Interesting. They just put out a listing of all of the campaign donations for Spanberger's gubernatorial campaign. And as of now, the majority of the money she has raised for this race has come from outside the Commonwealth of Virginia. About 44% of the money comes from Virginia itself. A little over 25% comes from Washington, D.C., which is not Virginia. And the rest comes from all the other states, including a lot from California, Illinois, and New York. So she gets all this money from outside of Virginia, but when it's time to debate, no, I only want a Virginia-based news outlet. And that means Richmond, by the way, because any of the news outlets located in the Northern Virginia area are really technically DC-based news outlets, not Virginia-based news outlets. It's a lie. That's not why she's backing out of the debate, and I'll prove it to you because she's got a track record doing this. I'll get to that in a second. We've declined an offer to participate in a debate hosted by CNN in order to prioritize Virginia broadcasters and ensure the focus remains squarely on issues impacting Virginia. Spanberger campaign manager Samson Signori said in a statement to CNN, "We believe that debates about Virginia's future should be rooted in Virginia, produced by Virginia media, and accessible to Virginians across the Commonwealth." Yeah, because CNN isn't accessible to Virginians, which is especially important after Winsome Sears declined a debate that featured 3 Virginia broadcast partners. Her campaign said it was in active negotiations with WAVY-TV at Norfolk State University. That's a public station, by the way, public broadcasting. Abigail Spanberger turned down a CNN debate is beyond absurd. It's proof she's terrified of facing voters in an unscripted setting. Sears press secretary Peyton Vogel told Fox News Digital in 2022 she infamously pulled out at the last minute. Now she's running from CNN, one of the friendliest stages she could ask for. Yeah, that's right. See, she's got a track record of doing this, and I have firsthand experience because, well, it involves me. Here, I'll tell the story. It was 2022. She was running against a Prince William County from Northern Virginia county supervisor named Yesli Vega, and it was neck and neck. In fact, the latest polls in September and October showed Yesli Vega with a slight lead. Now, she ended up losing, by the way, spoiler alert, by 52 to 48, I think. And again, it was all those late mail-in ballots from the COVID-19 pandemic that we were still dealing with in November of 2022, only in certain states, run by Democrats like Virginia, that put Abigail Spanberger over the top. On election night, Yesli Vega was winning. And then the mail-in ballots in the ballot box ballots came in and Spanberger won, which is also, by the way, the track record for Abigail Spanberger. When she first won in 2018 against Dave Bratt, it was this close, but it was all those mail-in ballots. In 2020, when she was running against Nick Freitas actually had like a 4-point lead on election night. But then when they were doing all the manual vote counts in 2020, they found a thumb drive. I'm not kidding. Look it up. They found a thumb drive. Hey, where did this thumb drive come from with all of these votes? 14,000 votes were on the thumb drive. They counted it, and look at that. Abigail Spanberger won again. So now here's 2022. The polls are neck and neck. Yesli Vega is surging. A debate is scheduled, and then she canceled.
At 5:30, we are counting down to Election Day, which is now just 22 days away. And we've learned there may be no debate between Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger and her opponent, Yesli Vega.
Now, Spanberger pulled out of a scheduled debate for this Friday. Now, this is all happening in what may be one of the closest U.S. House races in the country. 7 News reporter Nick Minock is asking both campaigns what happened.
7 News requested an interview with Democratic Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger to learn why she pulled out of the only scheduled debate with her Republican opponent, Yesli Vega. Spanberger refused to do an interview. Instead, a Spanberger spokesperson sent 7 News a statement saying the Vega campaign tried to corrupt the debate into non-existence. Vega disagrees and says Spanberger backed out of the debate because of Democratic lawmaker Elizabeth Guzman's recent comments that received national attention.
She doesn't want to have to answer, right, for her surrogates' positions, extreme positions on jailing parents if they refuse to affirm their child's gender identity.
That's right. This woman, Delegate Guzman in Virginia, had proposed a bill and gave an interview saying that if parents don't go along with their child's new gender identity, you've raised a girl and then at 10 years old, that girl wants to be a boy. If the parents say, well, no, actually, you're a girl and we're going to keep raising you as a girl and we're going to work with you and we're going to bring in counselors and we're going to talk about it, but you are a girl and we're going to keep raising you as a girl. If you do that, Ms. Guzman wanted to throw you in jail because she's a Democrat. This was 2022. This story came out. She's a close campaign surrogate for Abigail Spanberger. That was going to be a major part of the debate. I assure you, Abigail Spanberger didn't want to have anything to do with it. And so she backed out of the debate. And this was what you just saw. This was the narrative the first day when she backed out of that debate. Everybody was talking about the fact that she backed out because of Guzman and the transgender issue. Then the next day, they came out with a new story. And guess who they blamed for pulling out of the debate in 2022? Guess. This guy. That's right. You see, the organization that was sponsoring the debate decided that they would get 2 local radio hosts to be the moderators. One would be from NPR, and one would be me. One, the NPR woman, would be friendlier to Abigail Spanberger. Me, the conservative radio host, would be friendlier to Yesli Vega. I thought it was a great idea. I was on board. We agreed to it. The woman from NPR and I were trading text messages. We were planning out what we were going to do, what topics we were going to address. And then this was the statement put out by Abigail Spanberger. Ever since she won the Republican nomination for Virginia's 7th District, Yesli Vega is hid from the press and, most importantly, the Virginians she hopes to represent in Congress. Vega's team knows she can't be trusted to speak candidly in front of legitimate members of the press and voters, legitimate members of the press, because she cannot defend her extreme positions. So in a last-ditch effort to protect their candidate, Vega's team insisted on installing Larry O'Connor, a right-wing radio host known for spreading lies, hyper-partisan vitriol, and hatred against Democrats as a debate moderator. Me? Vitriol? Hatred? Me? Little me? This effort came after they rejected multiple experienced nonpartisan moderators. I want to point out the other moderator was a liberal NPR host, okay? Which they would call, nonpartisan. Yesli Vega, with a record of moderating debates. I moderate debates all the time. I moderated the debate amongst the Republican candidates for governor in Virginia in 2021 when Glenn Youngkin won that race. I moderate debate all the time. I moderate debates. And now I'm offended. Yesli Vega does not want a debate. She wants a show. And she wants to be on stage with someone who called Democrats monsters. That's true. During COVID, I called the governors who were inflicting mandates on little children. I called them monsters. I thought it was monstrous. And implored readers of his blog that you must wreak revenge. You must punish them. You must make them pay. Virginia voters deserve it. No, that's true. I said all of those things during the pandemic. I did. And it wasn't my blog. It was town hall media, by the way. Totally guilty. Yes, I did. By the way, me, a radio host and columnist, telling my readers that they should make the Democrats who have made their lives and their children's lives a living hell during the COVID-19 pandemic, when if you lived in Florida, everything would be fine. If you lived in Tennessee, everything would be fine. If you lived in South Dakota, everything would be fine, or Texas. But because you live in a blue state, your life is a living hell, and your children are kept from school, and they're losing the ability to read because they've got to sit on a laptop because you are run by Democrats. Yes, I did say that you should punish those Democrats and you should make them pay. That is correct. I said all of those things. But put that up against anything you see Democrats say about Republicans and Trump supporters. I think I look like a pussycat. So they blamed me. They pulled out of the debate back then and blamed me. But do you see a pattern of behavior here? By the way, when they put out that statement at the time in October of 2022, I put out my own statement. I said, I've participated in the 2016 Republican presidential primary debates in New Hampshire, the 2021 gubernatorial primary debates in Virginia, and the 22 GOP debates in the 10th District of Virginia. My track record as a fair, balanced, and informed moderator stands for itself. But I will not stand in the way of the people of the 7th Virginia District from seeing their candidates debate for this important congressional seat. If my presence is an impediment to the people being informed, I'll withdraw from the debate. If Representative Spanberger has used her position to disparage me and my career, she called me a liar, I demand she retract those lies and at the very least agree to a one-on-one interview so she can repeat them to my face. You're a member of Congress. Start acting like one. Needless to say, She never agreed to an interview with me, and she never retracted her lies about me. But I was willing to step out. I was like, fine, you don't want me as a moderator. Don't let me get in the way of the candidates debating so the voters can make a choice. And Spanberger still ran away. She does not want to debate. And back then it was because of the transgender policy. She didn't want to confront it. She didn't want to tell the truth. She likes to run as a moderate, not one of those crazy left-wing liberals. No, I'm just a suburban mom with a J. Crew wardrobe. Look at me. I'm fine now. Come on. I'm not one of those crazy left-wingers. I'm a moderate Virginia Democrat, and I'm just going to get things done. But the fact of the matter is, if you look at her record, she is no different than Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, AOC, all of them. She is no different than any of them on any of the major issues you care about. And she didn't want to tell the truth about transgender policies. So now here we are. She's running for governor and she does the same thing. Why? Well, first, let's look at the ad the Sears campaign just put out. And then I'll tell you exactly why Abigail Spanberger is withdrawing. This time she can't blame me. This time it's the crazy right-wingers Jake Tapper and Dana Bash at CNN that she's objecting to, I suppose. But she's using this fig leaf of, oh, we must have Virginia media do this. It's all bullshit. Everybody knows. Here's the ad from the Winsome Sears people.
People don't want to debate anymore. Don't vote for someone who won't do a debate, right? Like, we owe it to the people.
That's a good little ad there, isn't it? Yeah, that's literally Abigail Spanberger 1 year ago talking about it's terrible that nobody wants to debate. Let's debate. We owe it to the people to debate. By the way, she intimidated any other Democrat who was vying for the nomination in Virginia. She intimidated them all out of the race. She strong-armed them. She ran unopposed. This is who she is. She doesn't like to be confronted. She doesn't like to be discussing. So why? Why now is she suddenly backing out of a debate? Well, this is why. You've got two major stories in Northern Virginia right now. The first is the Loudoun County Public School System. Their school board just voted to defy the Trump administration and the Department of Education, who has found them in violation of Title IX when it comes to gender policies. They've decided, screw you, federal government. We're going to keep our policies that let boys into girls' bathrooms and girls' locker rooms and play in girls' sports. This, by the way, is a school system that has already had to deal with a young girl who was sexually assaulted by a boy wearing a skirt in the girls' room. But they want to keep those policies, damn it. And so they're turning down all of the federal funding that they would get from the Department of Education, and they're sticking with their policies, even though they're in violation of Title IX. Abigail Spanberger refuses to comment on that issue. It's a major topic in Northern Virginia, the state she wants to be the governor of, and she won't comment on it. And now we've got this story. Fairfax County Public School System, again in Northern Virginia. There's a report that 2 underage teenage girls got pregnancy termination procedures, abortions, facilitated by the school staff, and the school staff withheld this information from the parents of these girls. They got the abortions without parental consent. That's a policy that Abigail Spanberger supports. And the report is that the school system paid for the abortions with your tax dollars. And according to local news reports, Channel 7, here's your Virginia media that we can use for the debate, written by a great reporter, Nick Minnock, who covers Northern Virginia. Apparently, a teacher at this high school told the principal about the staff arranging the students' abortions years ago. This has been something going on for years. And one of the teachers warned the principal about it, even though Fairfax County Public Schools is now claiming they knew nothing about it. The last thing Abigail Spanberger wants is to answer questions about these topics. She has refused to comment on this. The governor of Virginia has called the state police to do a criminal investigation into this matter because it is against the law for the teachers to do exactly what they're reported to have done. Abigail Spanberger wants to be the governor, and she won't even comment on this story. And Lord knows she doesn't want it to come up in a debate. But here's an offer. She says she wants Virginia-based media. Well, it turns out this show right here is produced by a Virginia company. That makes me a Virginia-based journalist. And Nick Minnock from WJLA Channel 7 in Washington, well, guess what? Their TV station is like right across the street from Town Hall Media in Rosslyn, Virginia.
I'm a Virginian too.
Kevin's a Virginian. That makes him a Virginia-based journalist. So, Abigail Spanberger, we got a deal for you. You said the only criteria you care about is having a Virginia-based media outlet. You didn't say anything about crazy right-wing radio hosts, you know, those lies about what you called me. So I'll tell you what, if the only criteria is a Virginia-based news organization, Town Hall, and I'm sure my buddy Nick Minnock over at WJLA, the person who wrote this story about Fairfax County schools facilitating abortions illegally behind the backs of parents, I'm sure that he would agree to moderate. Kevin will produce it. I'll moderate it with Nick, and we'll do your Virginia debate right here live on this program. What do you say, Abby? Abigail? Congressman, are you there? Where did she go?